So we'll finish up our discussion of Bourdieu with his notions of reflexive sociology. And we really need to understand this concept of reflexive sociology, especially for those of us who are going to go on and do research in the discipline of psychology, social psychology, sociology, anywhere we have to study the human being. Reflexive sociology can do us a world of good. So what exactly is reflexive sociology? Well, Bourdieu would say that we really need to deepen our understanding of our own self and our position in the world to better understand the social reality of others. And really this is tied up with that concept of the sociological imagination. We have to be able to get out of our own way of thinking about social reality and really be willing to step into the other person's shoes to understand why things are happening the way they are. In addition, reflexive sociology would require us to be skeptical of our own views. You know, oftentimes when we're having that conversation with others, or when we're seeing something happening, we're reading in the newspaper something's happening, watching on TV, or reading an article on the internet that something is occurring, we oftentimes have a knee-jerk reaction to that. Well, I would never do that. Or, why is that person doing that? That's completely ridiculous. What we never really stop to take into consideration is that other people are doing the same thing when they're observing us. And so reflexive sociology would require us to really examine what we're doing, how we think, how we feel. What are our attitudes and our beliefs and our feelings and our prejudices about particular things in social reality? And if we can really grasp this idea of being skeptical about our own views, then it helps us to just simply wash away all of the preconceived notions that we have about why people behave the way they do. Because it helps us to really grasp that the reason we behave the way we do is because of all of the stimulus that we've been exposed to. And if we can get to that really basic understanding that everybody else is doing exactly the same thing, it allows us to step outside of our judgment of the situation. Now, Bourdieu did a lot of work in this area, but also Garfinkel came up with this very interesting notion of what reflexive sociology is. Garfinkel said that we should think about ourselves as social science researchers as being a goldfish in a goldfish bowl. He said we oftentimes forget that we have to live in the same water, that we're living in the same environment as everyone else. And so rather than looking at the subjects of our research as simply just objects, things out there for us to study and report about, it would do us well to remember that we are also one of those objects, one of those people who has to live in that same social reality. And so this sort of thinking, this notion of reflexive sociology, has really had a tremendous impact on contemporary sociology. In the beginning of the field of sociology as an academic discipline, we didn't really take the time to think about how we fit in. We kind of saw ourselves as removed and detached researchers of everything else that was going on out there in society. And so we looked at the subjects of our research as objects, as things that we could just count, or things that we could record feelings and thoughts and attitudes of. We didn't really take the time to understand how we fit in. And the second part of the development of the field of sociology towards this reflexive type of thinking was starting to examine the methods and the approaches of our discipline. What is it that we're doing and how are we doing it? The third step toward reflexive sociology was looking for the things that were absent. So not only looking at the methods and approaches of the discipline, but also looking for the things that were absent. And here's where we find the absence of the researcher. And that is where we get to the essence of sociology. When we are able to connect that we are part of the bigger picture, we are able to understand the reflexive nature of the study of society. All right, I hope this helps. Take care. We'll talk again soon.